Revenge of the Sith is one of my favorite entries in the Star Wars saga, so it may seem redundant to pitch improvements to it when other movies are sitting right there, but Episode 3 is not without its shortcomings, and with a few punch-ups, it could have been the best picture of the year, not just of the prequels. And maybe that's hyperbole and some hubris on my part, but I do enjoy seeing what could have made good movies reach their full potential. Every story can be told better. It basically opens just how the current cut does, with the battle over Coruscant. It's a fantastic sequence. The main addition occurs somewhere on the Invisible Hand while Anakin and Obi-Wan are making their way to the Chancellor, maybe while waiting for R2 to work his magic. Anakin says he senses the Chancellor, and Obi-Wan replies, "Strange, I do not," and that he senses something else. Anakin asks what, and Obi-Wan explains that he senses the echo of his old master Qui-Gon Jinn, meaning Count Dooku is close. Anakin asks whether that makes it difficult for Obi-Wan to face him, to which Obi-Wan says it does, immeasurably in fact, but he will still do what he must, no matter how hard it is. Besides, Kenobi says with a glint in his eye and a wry smile, Anakin carries on Qui-Gon's spirit better than Dooku or Obi-Wan himself, and because of that, Qui-Gon will live on. They make it to the Chancellor, who says Dooku must be brought to justice for what he's done here. Obi-Wan reminds Palpatine that his safe return is their mission, but that Dooku will be made to answer for his crimes in the Supreme Court before long. Palpatine pushes back. No, the Separatist leader must die here and now. Anakin agrees with him, saying Newt Gunray avoided answering for his own crimes. They must execute justice themselves. Obi-Wan reminds Anakin that they must follow the will of the Force. How do you know killing Dooku is not the Force's will? Anakin asks. The Separatist leader is too dangerous to be kept alive, to which Obi-Wan simply responds that if they get a clear chance to bring him in alive, then the Force wants it to be. Palpatine, bemused, chimes in that you'd think the Force would want whatever brought peace the fastest. And then Dooku comes in and they fight. And in this version it plays out like the scrapped version of the duel that's even way more awesome than what we have now, in part because it shows Anakin steadily gaining the upper hand on Dooku like a steady, unstoppable force, as well as his ability to uncannily copy his opponent's tactic to use against them. Anakin disarms Dooku, and as much as we all love do it, I don't think we need it. In fact, I'd edit the exchange to be a lot more silent. Dooku's totally at Anakin's mercy, fully expecting to be brought in alive. He says something to the effect of, "The Council can put me away, strip me of the Force, but I'll never cooperate." Anakin's face slowly turns from Dooku to Palpatine. Without a word, Palpatine tells Anakin what he should do. Dooku, sensing something off, shifts his eyes to his Sith master, catching his smug, satisfied look. The horrified resignation in Dooku's eyes speaks the terrible truth. He's being replaced. "You did well, Anakin." To which Anakin replies he doesn't want to talk about it. He's shaken. The rescue plays out. When the Chancellor and company return planetside, we see scars from the battle that just took place. Smoke billowing from buildings, emergency services scrambling, all that stuff. In talking to Anakin, Bail Organa mentions he's been getting questions from his constituents, who are typically strong supporters of the Jedi and the war effort, but they're concerned with the increasing number of former Confederate systems that are under the Order's control. Anakin replies with what has become the typical response from the Council. It is a temporary transitional measure, and that planets rescued from Separatist control will be able to govern themselves once free and fair elections can be guaranteed. Capturing Grievous and ending the war will ensure that. Until then, it's the Jedi's duty to maintain peace and order. And stuff happens. Then we catch up with Anakin and Padme at their apartment. He tells her he loves being home and because he feels calm and safe around her. She reciprocates by telling him that she, in turn, feels like she can take on the whole galaxy herself when she's with him. Their love has literally created a bond in the Force so deep that they share temperaments, attitudes, feelings, and even thoughts when they're around each other. They've truly become one. It's a beautiful thing, but the drawback is they've also felt each other's sense of stress and anxiety over the course of the war, even at great distances. Is this something that other Jedi can sense about them? Who knows? Regardless, things will be different once the war ends and they will finally be left alone to raise their family. Anakin has his terrible vision of Padme dying during childbirth. He wakes up, tormented by the thought. Padme tries to comfort him, telling Anakin she doesn't want him to get obsessed over this. It was only a dream. He promises to try, but Padme can tell he's lying. He's convinced it's real. Anakin goes to see Yoda. Yoda is concerned about Anakin's premonitions. Has he had them before? Yoda asks. Anakin is cagey, but Yoda sees right through him and warns him to be careful, saying visions of this nature are not unheard of, but they are rare. Historically, they've appeared to come from the Force as a warning of some kind. So that we can save this person? Anakin asks. Not at all, Yoda says. The subject of such a vision could simply lay at the nexus of fate for someone. It could mean anything. But why would the Force direct my attention to someone if not to save them from death? Yoda responds that because the Force exists in all living things, and death is a natural part of life, holding on to life often does not serve balance. The Force could be telling you to let go, or at least be able to should it come to that. Anakin refuses to accept that. Yoda warns him that straying from the path of the light could be what triggers visions of this nature in the first place, and to watch himself. Anyway, Anakin's late for the meeting, Palpatine wants to see him, Obi-Wan feels uneasy. Palpatine appoints Anakin to the Jedi Council. That's a huge honor, but can he really do that? Anakin asks. Yes, in fact. The Senate has given Palpatine direct control over the Jedi Order, even going so far as to give him authority over the council itself. Palpatine tells Anakin that yes, he deserves this new position, but the Chancellor also needs eyes and ears on the council. Palpatine shares a growing concern among the people that the Jedi are using the war for their own gain, using the chaos of the fighting to seize power around the galaxy, building new temples, and stationing permanent Jedi garrisons. If not for Anakin, Dooku would still be at large, and Palpatine wonders how long the council will let General Grievous roam free. The Chancellor has seen many Jedi come and go over his time in politics, and he fears the war has awakened something twisted on the Jedi Council, a hunger for control. Rather than serving the greater good, they believe they are the greater good. He tells Anakin to take note of how the Council treats him going forward. They can't question his qualifications. If they distrust him, it's because of his friendship with the Chancellor, and they don't want whatever plans they may be crafting to reach his ears. And then we insert the deleted scene showing Padme, Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, and other senators remarking on the state of the Constitution, forming the beginning of an alliance within the Senate to put a check on the Chancellor's power. It ends with Mon Mothma swearing everyone to absolute secrecy about it, not even telling loved ones. Padme questions the wisdom of their plan. Anakin appears before the council. They don't like this, and they don't grant him the rank of master. Wait, what? How can you do this? If you're not a master, you don't get a vote, you can't introduce topics of discussion, you can't even speak before being spoken to. How can you be on the council and not be a master? Master Windu, along with most of the council, has had enough of this, and withholding the rank of master from Skywalker, humiliating him at the highest level, is the only way they can push back against the Chancellor. They get on with their business. Ki-Adi-Mundi reports that they've narrowed down Grievous's most probable location to one of two worlds, Kashyyyk and Utapau. Kashyyyk is currently occupied by a large separatist force capable of sending reinforcements to Utapau should Grievous be there. They will hit that one first, and Yoda volunteers. Utapau, though, is officially neutral, so running in with the fleet would be really risky without proper cause, knowing for sure that Grievous is there. Should he not be on Kashyyyk, Kenobi will go in ahead of his forces and make confirmation of his presence for clones to come in, and so on. Obi-Wan gives Anakin his assignment, but Anakin does not like it. Chancellor Palpatine may seem like a good man and a friend, but many of the Republic's fundamental institutions are backsliding in a way that the war's end won't automatically fix. Palpatine promised to lay down his powers once peace was achieved, but there's nothing left holding him to that. Additionally, excess manpower and funds, according to one rumor, seem to be pouring into a project or fleet around Endor, which is nowhere near the front lines. Anakin needs to find out what is going on in the Chancellor's office because the Council is being kept in the dark while they fight Palpatine's war. Still, Anakin says spying on the Republic's head of state is treason, and Obi-Wan replies that they are at war, but they need to know with whom. If Dooku's Sith Master has sunk their claws into the heart of the Republic, they need to know. They look out the window and see a small group of protesters organizing outside the temple. Yoda, Kenobi, and Windu take a ride. Windu doesn't trust Anakin. Is Anakin not the chosen one? Obi-Wan asks. Yoda remarks that destiny does not equal infallibility. Even if the Force did choose Anakin to bring balance, it can't make him do anything. The implication is clear. The thought that the Force's millennia-old prophecy could be thwarted hangs around their necks. This is the most precarious moment of the entire war. Padme feels uneasy. She turns off a HoloNet report showing Palpatine putting blame for the war on the Jedi. She doesn't recognize the Senate anymore. It was never perfect, but these days it's less about debate and more about supporting Palpatine's whims and putting an end to dissent. They get protesters outside the Senate building when they so much as deliberate the wisdom in expanding the Chancellor's powers. The people want the war over, and they want it now, whatever the cost. Some senators have accepted extra security, but there's rumors that the officers assigned to them also report their movements to the Chancellor's inner circle, which is why she herself hasn't accepted any. She fears Palpatine may have lost control over those around him who are taking advantage of the conflict. She then asks Anakin to use his friendship with Palpatine to restart diplomatic talks, and he flips out. Both of his mentors are trying to use him, and now his wife. He feels like a slave again. She feels this because of their connection and talks him down. Anakin doesn't have to do anything he thinks is wrong, she says. The Republic doesn't own him, the Jedi don't own him, he's not a pawn, not a tool, he's a person, and his name is Anakin. She tells him he should go to Palpatine and Obi-Wan and tell them they need to find another way. This is tearing him apart. If her and Anakin's time together is to be cut short, if his visions are correct, they should spend their remaining time together in happiness. Padme's inner peace reaches Anakin's heart, and they make plans to travel to Naboo soon. Anakin goes first to Palpatine at the Opera House. The purpose of his visit is the only difference in this scene. I mean, come on, it's great. Anakin tells Palpatine that he can't help him. Palpatine is disappointed, but understanding. Anakin should do what's best for him, and he hopes the Council will be understanding as well should he step away from them. Hopefully, their quest for greater power won't cloud their judgment, and that's how he pivots to the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. And that catches Anakin's attention. What if there were a measure of truth to this Sith legend? Yoda's on Kashyyyk, they make contact with separatist forces, but clone scouts don't find any sign of the general. So, it's time for Obi-Wan to head out, while Yoda keeps the enemy from leaving the Wookiee homeworld to reinforce the general. The two Jedi look out at Commander Cody's forces loading onto their capital ship. It's a surreal moment. They reminisce about how things were before the war. They didn't know it, but life was so much simpler back then. Even though it's not his fault, Obi-Wan apologizes to Anakin for not being able to live how a young Jedi should. Jedi Knights were never meant to be soldiers. What would Qui-Gon have thought about all this? Anakin wonders. Obi-Wan doesn't have an answer. He can't picture his old master as a general, but Qui-Gon would never have shirked his duty either. He probably would have found another way, an alternative to fighting. It's a shame they'll never know. Anakin then points out that Obi-Wan never really got to be a young Jedi Knight either, having to immediately go from being a Padawan to having one. Anakin can't imagine having someone like him as an apprentice right now. He's brash, impatient, and can be frustrating, and he's sorry for that. Remember, we're pretending it's 2005 and Ahsoka Tano doesn't exist yet, but Obi-Wan quickly and graciously reassures his former Padawan. Anakin is strong and wise, and he is very proud of him. He didn't just train him since he was a small boy, he raised him too. And he knows Skywalker will become a greater Jedi than he could ever hope to be. He hates the position the Council has had to put Anakin in, and he knows it's hard. But after the war, things can go back to the way they used to be. They just need to trust in the Force. Obi-Wan begins to leave when Anakin stops him with a question that's clearly been bothering him. Did Obi-Wan feel conflicted or guilty after killing that Sith Lord on Naboo so many years ago? Did the act stay with him? Obi-Wan ponders this for a second. Killing a living being in close combat, making that decision, is never easy. I knew I did the right thing, Obi-Wan answers. Not because it was either him or me, but because the Force was on my side. How does he know that? Anakin asks. Because, Obi-Wan answers, the only way he defeated that Sith Lord was either luck or the Force itself, and he doesn't believe in luck. When you follow the Force, Obi-Wan says, you never have to wonder if you're doing the right thing. That doesn't mean it's never hard, quite the opposite. But taking up the mantle of Jedi Knight or Master means vowing to always make the difficult decision for the greater good. And that is something that can weigh on you sometimes. He promises to talk with Anakin about it more, help him to sort through his thoughts when he gets back. Anakin tries to tell Obi-Wan that he can't be the Council's spy, but he fails to work up the nerve. They part ways. Goodbye, old friend. Back at the Skywalker residence, Padme is getting ready for the move to Naboo, but senses something is very wrong when Anakin walks in, just as he senses the same within her. He asks her what is wrong. He knows she's conflicted about something, he can feel it. She does not tell him about her meeting with the other senators, and how her sense of duty is tugging at her to stay and fight. She tells him she's nervous about the move is all, but Anakin knows she's lying, just as Padme feels his inner sense of desperation and uncertainty. She asks him about his state of mind, but he blocks her too. Hope in a Sith legend? It's preposterous, but he can't stop thinking about it. He does ask her if there was a way to change her fate, keep his visions from coming true. Would she take it? Padme does not answer, because questions like that have made countless men go mad. Anakin does not accept that. Padme is the most strong-willed person he's ever met. How could she be content with this? I'm not, she says. She says the Separatists, the Jedi, the Chancellor, the Force, they've all conspired to rob them of their happiness, their family, and she hates all of them for it. But, she adds, she accepts reality. Trying to change it would rob her of whatever joy she has left. I know you don't fully believe that, Anakin spits, and I know part of you does, Padme replies. This could make it an open question as to which of them Padme's sentiment came from. Their bond is so strong, they themselves may not be able to tell. While Obi-Wan lands on Utapau, let's recap a little. Right now, each of our characters has a personal stake in the capture or killing of General Grievous. The end of the war means better things to come for them and for the galaxy at large. In any other film, this would be the climax. Anyway, Obi-Wan confirms the general is planetside and signals for Commander Cody to bring in the big guns. When it looks like his bounty is ready to board his ship and leave, Kenobi jumps in to buy some time. The fight goes how it goes. Ideally, Grievous would be more menacing like his performance in Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars series. Cut to the war room at the temple. Commander Cody informs Master Windu and Master Skywalker that Kenobi has found their target and that his forces are making their way to Utapau now. Mace tells Anakin to deliver the news to Palpatine, as well as gauge his reaction to it and get a sense of his feelings toward laying down his powers. Mace senses a great disturbance in the Force, not a plot specifically to destroy the Jedi, but an immense feeling of dread and doom. The dark side surrounds the Chancellor. The sooner he lays down his emergency powers, the better Mace will feel. If Palpatine doesn't, then he should be removed from office. Of course, the Chancellor suspended a lot of laws based on precedents that check his authority, so it's up in the air as to whether the court's authority still applies at all. And the Senate does not have the power to impeach anymore even. Were the Jedi to remove Palpatine from office, which is a provision nowhere to be found in the Constitution, they'd have to take control of the Senate during the transition, a move that would be deeply unpopular, even dangerous in the face of growing distrust of the Order. A question is posed. Could the clone army be counted on to support the Jedi in that case? Their Kaminoan creators had said they were loyal to the Republic, but did that mean the Senate or only the Chancellor? Ki-Adi-Mundi chimes in saying, the clones have fought and bled alongside their Jedi comrades for years now. They would not be so quick to abandon them. The clones, he thinks, could be counted on to maintain stability during such a time. For now, each Jedi with a command of their own will let their clone commander know of the potential situation to come and to stand by. A quick montage plays out, showing as much, with each clone commander standing resolute and ready to serve. Yoda himself sends a message to Commander Cody in the field, who is shown to be fully on board. Anakin gives the news to Palpatine. Grievous's capture or killing is imminent, and Palpatine is unfazed. Hopeful even. Anakin asks if Palpatine has given thought to when exactly he'll return power to the Senate. The Chancellor all but shrugs and says, whenever the Senate asks for it, they're the ones who own that authority, he says, able to give it away and take it back. Personally, Palpatine says he can't wait for it to happen. Anakin goes to leave and report that back to Mace Windu, but Palpatine drops one last question at the last second. Do you know what I most look forward to after leaving office? Retiring to Naboo. It's a serene gem of the Republic, Possibly the last one. He can't wait to live out his days as a cranky old man in peace. Anakin agrees, and Palpatine wistfully floats the idea that perhaps Anakin can come visit him from time to time. He can bring others if he wishes, Master Kenobi or Senator Amidala. That one hangs in the air for a moment. Anakin agrees. It could be good to catch up with friends in such a beautiful place after all this is done. Palpatine smiles and adds that he hopes Anakin and Padme can actually get a good honeymoon this time. Anakin freezes. He tries to stammer out a response, but Palpatine cuts him off with a wave of his hand and a reassuring look. Anakin's secret is safe with him, and he'll make sure it stays that way. He's known for a long time, in fact. He cares little for many aspects of the Jedi Code, including its mantra on attachments. Palpatine tells Anakin he's happy for him, and that he's sorry he couldn't congratulate him sooner or even been at the wedding. This lifts a massive weight off Anakin's shoulders. This wave of relief washes away the thick layer of anxiety and dread he's been carrying for 3 years. Palpatine has gone from friend to confidant. Anakin breaks down and proceeds to tell Palpatine everything he's been struggling with recently regarding his visions of Padme. It becomes a mirror image of his scene with Yoda at the temple, only this time Anakin is far more open and gets vastly different advice. Palpatine reassures Anakin that he will not let anything happen to Padme and that they will work together to make sure his visions never come to pass. But how? Anakin asks. The key, Palpatine answers, is in the legend of Darth Plagueis. Anakin tenses up at this. The dark side? Impossible. He could never do that. Besides, there isn't anyone to teach him. He killed Count Dooku. And then Palpatine reveals his true nature. No, there is another. Palpatine can teach Anakin everything, all that he knows, if he'll just let him. You're the Sith Lord. Anakin comes back to himself. You don't even know what that means, Palpatine exclaims. The Jedi have painted the Sith as the ultimate evil because they're the only threat to their power. And he says it's only a matter of time before they turn on Anakin too because he can think for himself. He knows what it's like to have a mother, to have a wife, and in time, to be a father, as they never will. The Jedi call it the dark side, but do you know what we call it? We just call it the Force. The Sith simply seek to understand all aspects of it, including the parts that let people think and live for themselves, outside of what Providence dictates. For instance, the Force wanted Dooku alive, but how did Anakin feel when he killed him? Anakin bristles at the question. It was wrong, he answers. You didn't answer the question. I had to do it. No, you didn't. Why did you? But it wasn't the Jedi way. No, it wasn't. It was your way. And how did that make you feel? Shame, guilt. No, it didn't. That's what the Jedi want you to feel. How did you feel? I don't know. Yes, you do. Think for yourself. Search your feelings. How did you feel as you cut him down? I felt good. Time stops. A wall has been knocked down. Hearing the Force's demand to spare him and ignoring it made Anakin feel alive. Just like choosing to be with Padme made him feel alive. It was the only time he didn't feel like a slave. Palpatine leans forward. Notably, Anakin does not keep him at bay, instead moving his lightsaber blade with Palpatine's movement so as to keep the blade close to his throat but not in danger of harming him. Use my knowledge, I beg you, for your sake. It is the only way you'll be free. We are luminous beings who deserve to look up at our overlords and say no. I promise you, Anakin, you deserve to be up there with them. The Jedi Council will never make you a master, but I would make you a lord of the ancient tradition. The Jedi Council would let your wife and unborn child die, but I would make it so you'd never have to say goodbye again. I can teach you, Anakin. Anakin thinks for a long moment, unsure of what it'll do. Finally, he switches off his lightsaber and says he's going to turn Palpatine over to the Council. Surprisingly, Palpatine does not react in anger or desperation. No fighting, no pleading. He simply looks sad, resigned, brokenhearted, not for himself, but for Anakin. I hope this brings you peace. Cut to Obi-Wan. The fight continues and ends like it does, only Obi-Wan's reaction to Grievous's death is less flippant. He looks down at the general's immolated body, which, come to think of it, has got to be foreshadowing, in disbelief. It's over. A peace treaty may only be days away now. He sheds hard-won tears of joy. They can finally start putting the galaxy back together. Beaming, he contacts Master Windu. Anakin catches Mace Windu on his way out to make sure the Chancellor gives up his powers, and he tells Master Windu that Palpatine is the Sith Lord they've been looking for. The exchange basically goes down like it does in the movie, with a couple little additions. The clone commanders are said to be on standby in case the Chancellor refuses to step down, and as Mace boards the gunship, Anakin asks what he will do with the Chancellor, this Sith Lord. Mace cryptically answers, "Whatever is necessary." Anakin goes to wait in the council chambers. Rather than hearing Palpatine re-explaining the stakes in his head, here we just see Anakin's emotional state as we cut between him and Padme, who herself is in a meeting with the other senators, but she's a million miles away. She feels his broken heart right along with him. Anakin begins to sense her heartbeat, and we hear it, which brings even more tears. He's being torn apart. He can barely stand the pain. Padme's heartbeat fades away, and then he hears something else. The light, rapid heartbeat of his unborn child. His face transforms into one of absolute resolve, and he takes off running. As he does so, Padme turns to the window looking towards the Jedi Temple, her face overcome with apprehension and concern. Windu and the other 3 Jedi Masters enter the Chancellor's office. Palpatine's demeanor is stone cold, dripping with disgust right off the bat. He tells the Jedi that they are intruding. Windu does not even acknowledge it. They ignite their lightsabers to place him under arrest. The fight plays out like the deleted version, more visceral and intense. By the end of it, Mace has Palpatine seemingly dead to rights as Anakin walks in. Palpatine runs out of juice, and Windu declares he's going to end this. Anakin objects. It's not the Jedi way. He's too dangerous to be kept alive. Anakin pleads with Master Windu. They should interrogate him, find out what he knows. There could be more like him out there. They could lock him away in solitary confinement, far away from anyone. Anakin could take responsibility for him. Windu refuses and winds up his fatal blow. Anakin blurts out, "I need him." "Why?" Windu asks, and presses the issue. Palpatine tells Anakin to come clean. Fall on the good Jedi's mercy. Anakin confesses that Palpatine holds the key to saving his wife and child. Mace is shocked at this development. He doesn't know what to say. His face goes from astonishment to confusion to anger. How could this have happened? And then it dawns on him just how much danger he's in. There is a powerful Sith Lord in front of him, far from helpless, and his only ally in the room is severely compromised and likely to turn on him at any moment. In fact, his hand is suspiciously close to his lightsaber. Anakin says, "Master?" "Step back, Skywalker," Windu says. "I can't do that. I don't care. Please don't do this. You know me, Master." "No, I don't." Windu springs into action. He force pulls Anakin's weapon toward him, but Anakin catches it, narrowly dodges Windu's blade as he tries to cut him down, and cuts off Windu's hand as the same swing goes to connect with Palpatine's neck, saving the man. It all happens in the blink of an eye. Palpatine lightnings Mace Windu into oblivion, only without the screaming about unlimited power. What just happened? Mace Windu just tried to kill him. Anakin was just acting on instinct. He didn't mean to do that, right? Why did he do that? Anakin screams. You know why, Anakin. And you know exactly what the rest will do too. Anakin can't deny it. He can no longer go back to the Jedi. Not after this. I can protect you, Palpatine adds. It is what you were made for. How can I learn to have power over death? I promise, you will. Anakin considers this. This is the most pivotal moment of his life. Finally, he takes a knee and accepts, swearing loyalty to Palpatine and the dark side. Palpatine can barely contain his malicious excitement, beholding the young Skywalker like a tiger whose next meal just walked into its lair. Without warning, he lashes out and grabs Anakin's head in a death grip. Anakin violently enters a state of unconsciousness and is flooded by dark, twisted visions. He falls to the ground, dead to the world. Back home, Padme falls to the ground, overtaken by extreme pain and distress. The senators rush to her aid. Anakin's visions of ancient Sith turn into images of people close to him he's lost or will lose. Qui-Gon Jinn, Shmi Skywalker, Padme Amidala. He sees them dying, but then images of them alive now and for years to come, happy and healthy. Anakin gasps back to life, trembling at what he's just seen. What was that? Palpatine answers, the dark side. Anakin speaks of thoughts being pressed into his mind as well, a language he'd never heard before, yet somehow understood? The ancient Sith language, Palpatine explains. That is a good sign. The dark side of the Force imprints an identity on each new Dark Lord who finds themselves worthy. Maul, Tyrannus, Sidious, and soon to be one more. The searing pain lets go of Padme, and she can finally stand up. Mon Mothma brings her a glass of water as she's led to the sofa to sit down. Her head still aches, a lingering side effect of what just happened, but she's otherwise okay. And what did the dark side say to you, Anakin? Who are you? Through the tears and fog, for a reason unknown to herself, Padme whispers a single word under her breath, barely audible even to herself. Father? Sidious grins. Rise, Lord Vader. As a side note, I do know this could spark all kinds of jokes, that the Sith language is Dutch, but we've all known Vader is Dutch for father for years at this point, and that hasn't ruined the story for anyone yet, so who cares? Moving on. For his second lesson, Vader must cast off his former loyalties by going to the Jedi Temple and cleansing it of all the traitors within, every single one. Doing so will purge him of his hesitation and mercy, traits that are the undoing of any Sith Lord. Vader coldly accepts the assignment. Finally, the galaxy will have peace. Vader enters the temple with the 501st in tow. The crowd of protesters outside the temple, which has swelled over the last few days, makes way for Vader and the clones. The people are confused at first, but they slowly start applauding and cheering as they realize something is about to happen, even if they don't know what exactly. Meanwhile, Sidious sends out his message to Commander Cody, executing Order 66. Clearly, the Chancellor has not stepped down. Cody stands still for half a beat. We can't read his face, so we're not sure what he's about to do. The forces of good can still turn the tide if he just stands for what's right. Cody gives the order to take Kenobi out. Clone commanders take out their Jedi generals in the field, mercilessly stabbing their comrades in arms in the back. Also, clone battalions overrun and destroy all the Jedi garrisons and temples that dot worlds taken from the Separatists. Across the galaxy, Jedi die. They thought they were on the cusp of victory, but one by one they learned the hard way that the game was rigged from the start. Back at home, Vader is stomping through the Jedi Temple with the 501st causing all kinds of death and destruction that we get to see more of. Padme and the other senators can see the destruction from miles away. She sends Bail Organa and another senator to investigate and help however they can. Meanwhile, Vader comes across the younglings hiding in the council chambers, and I've been really torn about how to handle this scene. On the one hand, I don't think any father-to-be would slaughter a room full of children in cold blood, and I think it's a little early to show Vader do something so evil. Like, yeah, is he leading a mass execution right now? Yes. But killing a room full of kids, pretty much with your bare hands, is something else entirely. And on the other hand, it does do a good job showing how far he's fallen and how far he could go now. So we'll split the difference here. The kids plead with Vader to help. He kneels down to the child's eye level, reassuring him and the others that everything will be alright. He's conflicted. It shows on his face. This is very hard for him, but he has no choice now. Vader tells them to sleep peacefully, and he uses the Force to render all of them unconscious. He exits the room where a handful of troopers are waiting. Vader lets them go in, but orders them to make it clean and quick. It's his way of being gentle about it. He's joined the dark side, but he's not totally a heartless monster yet. After all, he was a Jedi Knight just like an hour ago. Bail Organa and his fellow senator arrive at the temple, demanding an end to the violence and the dispersal of the crowd. The clones don't comply, telling them to leave the area instead. The other senator forces the issue, going so far as to try and get past the clones, which gets him thrown to the ground and taken into custody. The crowd below goes wild at that. Organa and the rest of his group is not well liked at all by many people, including the ones down there. Bail leaves the scene, but not before he sees a young Padawan cut down, prompting a few more cheers from the crowd. Yoda escapes from Kashyyyk. Do we need Chewbacca? Not really, no. Am I leaving him in? Sure, he's not hurting anybody. Bail Organa returns to Padme and the other senators and tells them what happened. They don't know what to say at this point. Padme pushes through the shock and takes charge. She dispatches Bail to intercept and rescue any Jedi he can, since he has the fastest ship. They all disperse, leaving Padme alone with her thoughts. She wants to break down, but wills herself to hold it together. 3PO offers to put in an inquiry about Anakin to make sure he's okay. Padme can't stop the tears from falling now. As if miles away, she tells 3PO no. Vader returns home then, tears falling down his own face. He tells her what has happened. The Jedi Order tried to overthrow the Republic. He stopped them from assassinating the Chancellor himself, and he just subdued the Jedi at the temple. This can't be real, but she's more inclined to believe it because Vader himself does so strongly. Their bond in the Force cuts both ways. She asks what happens next, and he reiterates his first priority is to make sure she and the baby are safe, and that's why he needs to go on one more mission. After that, they will finally be free to live in a galaxy at peace. She asks where he's going, but Vader refuses to say. Bail rendezvous with Yoda and then Obi-Wan. This catastrophe is apparently happening all across the galaxy. All clones are turning against their Jedi generals simultaneously, and the temple is now broadcasting a message calling all members of the Order home. So they need to return to the temple, put a stop to it, and find out what's going on. For all they know, Republic High Command could have been sabotaged, or the Chancellor was deposed by a rogue faction. Meanwhile, Sidious tells the Separatist leaders to expect a special guest who will take care of them. Bail and the Jedi return to Coruscant. The Chancellor has called a special session of Congress. Could this be about what's happening with the clones? Have they gone completely rogue? If the Republic can't control its forces, have they just lost the war? Too many questions. One thing is clear. Nobody can know Yoda and Obi-Wan are there. Vader arrives on Mustafar, and things are not looking good for these guys. Obi-Wan and Yoda are greeted by a horrible scene inside the temple. Bodies of their fellow Jedi lie dead everywhere. They both feel a dark and suffocating presence all around them. Whatever happened here was not just tragic, it was a focal point for a cosmic shift in the balance of the Force itself. To add to that, many of the people here were cut down by a lightsaber. The mysterious Darth Sidious may have been here, finally coming out of hiding, or worse, one of their own may have done this themselves. But what kind of person could do this? This guy. He's getting pretty good at this kind of thing. Bail enters the Senate chamber midway through. Padme asks if he's found any Jedi out there, to which he says no. Palpatine declares victory over the Separatists, but that their work is just getting started. The Jedi Rebellion shows that the roots of treachery run deep, and that the rot within the Republic has spread too far to be excised. That same rot allowed for the recent splintering of the galaxy in the first place, and the devastating war that followed it. For too long, his predecessors ignored the problem, content with being custodians of stagnation and decay. But that changes now. Never again will this be allowed to happen. Never again will the people's government be allowed to be paralyzed by special interests and indecision. The people do not deserve that. The people deserve greatness, safety, security. The people don't deserve a bureaucracy. They deserve an empire. And the applause in the Senate chamber is so thunderous that Palpatine's next words are in danger of being drowned out. The First Galactic Empire. People across the city cheer their new emperor's words being broadcast across the holonet. So this is how liberty dies. The blood drains from Bail's face. It's over, he says. The Republic is dead. Hope is lost. But Padme looks at him, more resolved than ever. Their work is just beginning. Obi-Wan recalibrates the beacon, their mission is done. He checks the security recording, scrubbing through scenes of carnage that shake him to his core, and he finally sees Vader. How can this be? Then they see the aftermath, with Sidious giving Vader a new assignment. Vader has purged himself of mercy and has seen firsthand the weakness of the Jedi. Now for his next lesson, he will go to the Mustafar system, destroy the Separatist leaders, and see what kind of sniveling treachery they cannot let develop in their new world order. Palpatine is Darth Sidious? He was in control the whole time? The droids, the war, everything? And Anakin is his new apprentice? Yoda helps him pull himself together. Now is not the time. The light is dying, but has not run out. If they can destroy the Sith here and now, perhaps the galaxy can still be saved from 1,000 years of darkness. Obi-Wan knows he can't kill Anakin though. He must still be in there somewhere. Surely he can be brought back from the dark side. Yoda does not share his optimism. Obi-Wan is welcome to try, he says, but not to endanger this critical mission. Padme gets back to her apartment, reeling from the Emperor's speech still. Obi-Wan steps out of hiding. With surprising dexterity, Padme whips out a blaster from her cloak. Turns out, she's carried one ever since the battle for Naboo. She hates what Palpatine's doing, but remember that Vader's conviction against the Jedi fed into her point of view. Right now, she thinks the Jedi really are not to be trusted. Eventually, Obi-Wan talks her down by appealing to their friendship, their shared history, and how much they both care for and are worried about Anakin. She puts the blaster away and hears him out. He lays out everything he's learned about Darth Sidious, the war, all of it. When he gets to the parts about Anakin, deep inside she knows it's true. She's felt the darkness within him, the desperation, the anger and hate. Anakin is very sick. Obi-Wan asks for her help. He knows all about his feelings for her. In fact, he knows about their connection, their Force bond. When he sensed it before, it was faint but unmistakable, and he imagines he only felt it because of his friendship with them. In the end, Padme agrees to go with him to save this person who means so much to both of them. A little footnote in case you missed it, in this version, it's Obi-Wan who knows where Anakin is because of the security recording. Before leaving, Padme tasks Bail with convening their allies at Polis Massa, a secure location to discuss next steps. She will join them shortly, hopefully with good news. Obi-Wan lets Padme talk to Anakin herself when they get to Mustafar. His presence right off the bat could be counterproductive with Anakin having turned against the Jedi. Vader is surprised to see her and hugs her tight. Then he asks hesitantly how she found him and why she's here. In fact, she shouldn't be here. She could give birth any day now. She tells him about what's going on back home and that she wants him to come home with her. She's scared for him. Anakin needs to leave all this behind, go to Naboo like they planned. But Vader can't do that. Not now, he says. He's gone through too much to abandon his duty now. The Empire needs him. Without him, people like the Separatist leaders could gain another foothold and tear it down all over again. They have to be decisive, unwavering, if they want to maintain their hard-won peace. Isn't Anakin's loyalty to her? Padme asks. This is all for her, he responds, getting aggravated. Isn't she grateful? She never wanted any of this, she says. All she wanted was to be with him. They go back and forth, Vader's anger rising as Padme delves into what she's learned about him and what he's done. She wasn't supposed to know any of that, Vader thinks. How could she? How dare she? Padme can feel his anger, but continues to appeal to the good piece of Anakin that she knows is in there. But he's too twisted at this point to hear it. To him, everything he's done has been for the greater good. Not even Padme's influence right now is enough to sway him back. Their bond is not working. It gets to the point where Padme gives Vader an ultimatum: abandon his course and leave with her, or he won't see her ever again. This angers Vader to the point where he force chokes her, blind with rage. He then goes in to strike her, but Padme is quickly and suddenly pulled back by an unseen force. Saved. She comes to a stop in Obi-Wan's arm. He ignites his lightsaber with his other hand in a protective stance. Vader ignites his own blade, demanding Obi-Wan to give Padme back. Instead, Obi-Wan guides her safely to the ship and beckons her to get on, keeping Vader at bay. When she's safely on board, Obi-Wan can only manage to ask Vader why. Why did he do this? Vader says Obi-Wan would not understand. He had no choice. But Obi-Wan does not accept that, retorting that you always have a choice. Did Anakin learn nothing? On the contrary, Vader says, he's learned everything. He learned why the Council hated him, why the Jedi had to be put down, what kind of people foster rebellion, and what kind of resolve was needed to deal with them. And soon he will learn how to become more powerful than any Jedi to have ever existed. Obi-Wan can't believe what has become of his friend. Was this always inside Anakin? He asks. In a surprising moment of introspection, Vader says that maybe Anakin died a long time ago, maybe the day he left home. Obi-Wan pushes against that. Anakin is a good man, he just needs help. He begs him to come home, like a parent trying to save their child. He's sorry for not seeing this sooner, for not being there for Anakin when he needed him, but now he's ready to do whatever it takes to bring him back. Vader looks as if he may be considering Obi-Wan's words for a second, but his expression turns hostile fast. He says he will never be shackled again and to get out of his way. And that's it. The line is drawn. Obi-Wan stands firm. There's no chance he'll let Vader onto that ship. He says, in that case, he will do what he must. Vader's final response, darkly sarcastic, "Yes, Master." And the duel gets underway. I really have no notes for either fight. Both are outstanding. You really get the impression with Anakin and Obi-Wan's fight, especially that both men are trying to end the fight with each swing. At the end of their duel, Obi-Wan is standing on the banks by the river of lava. Rather than flexing on having the high ground, Obi-Wan deliberately leads Vader into trying the same maneuver he did on Darth Maul, putting the fight directly in the Force's hands. Simply dropping into a tired-looking fighting stance that Vader can't resist. He thinks the fight is over. Vader takes the bait and gets disarmed. Obi-Wan's speech stays similar to how it is now, only adding that Anakin was his family. The Order was his world, and now he has nothing. Neither of them do. Was it worth it? Was it? Vader is too consumed by rage to even respond. Obi-Wan says he loved Anakin, and that is why he must do this. He takes up Anakin's lightsaber, ready to commit the final blow, when Vader catches fire. It's a terrible fate. Obi-Wan can't bear to watch as the flames take him. He rejoins a healthy and not dying Padme on her ship. Broken and devastated, all they can do for a modicum of solace is share an emotional hug. Obi-Wan apologizes to Padme profusely, practically confessing to her that he failed Anakin. Padme reassures him though that it wasn't his fault. Anakin chose his path himself, and the little bit of good that was still in him at the end was only strong enough to endure and stand against the darkness was because of Obi-Wan. He doesn't quite believe her though. Was there really any goodness left in him? Yes, Padme says. She felt it. Sidious arrives right in the nick of time to save his apprentice. The gang arrives at Polis Massa, where Bail, Yoda, and the other senators are waiting. They get to work planning their next steps. Meanwhile, Sidious arrives with Vader back at Coruscant. It doesn't look good. The medical droids are doing what they can, but they're losing him. Vader lies on the medical table, so close to death. Sidious kneels down close to Vader's face. In a low voice, he tells Vader he has a final lesson to teach him: the power to cheat death. He talks him through it, painting an image of Vader being trapped in the dark, cold void, so cold he can barely breathe or feel his limbs. His inner light is fading. When it goes out, the darkness will take him and he will cease to be. But there is a bright, shining light in the distance. Vader must go to it, draw from it. Across the galaxy, Padme falters and collapses. Something is very wrong. She's in distress, so much that they decide they need to induce birth to save the child. Sidious pushes the nearly lifeless Vader to go on, draw from the light. Focus on your will to live, and the light will sustain you. Do not let death come for you this day. Padme's condition is worsening at an alarming rate. The medical droids can't figure out what's wrong with her. The babies are in danger as well. Babies? That's right, she's having twins. Yoda senses that something is very wrong with the Force within Padme. He doesn't know why or how, but he believes that to be the cause. Can they stop it? Obi-Wan asks. To sustain the life force of another is a little known, yet massively powerful technique, Yoda says. Obi-Wan would not be able to do it, but Yoda could. But even he can't save all three of them. Padme and the children. It's got to be either Padme or the twins. Padme musters up the strength to tell them to save her children, and Yoda gets to work. As Vader siphons off more and more of the light, his own luminance is restored as the other one, which used to be so bright and glorious, dims and shrinks more and more. The twins come into the world, Luke and then Leia. As each one is born, Obi-Wan does his best to look so happy and give Padme the joy and magic she deserves for this moment, but he knows he's saying goodbye to her at the same time. He goes to show Leia to her mother, but Padme can't see at this point. Everything is dark. She asks Obi-Wan to describe her. Choking back the tears, he does just so. Leia is the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. She's perfect, just like her brother. She's strong and kind, just like her mother. She takes care of her brother, just as he does for her. Obi-Wan shifts into painting a picture of the twins growing up, the things they would do, the people they'd become. He's not seeing the future or anything, but rather just giving Padme the gift of seeing her children grow up happy as she slips away. Vader has taken in all the light from in front of him. He awakens, coming back to life and taking his first breath from behind his mask, every one of which from now on was stolen from another. Vader asks what is happening. He can't feel his body. It hurts to breathe. Sidious briefly explains that the procedure was necessary to save him, and he will grow accustomed to it, perhaps, in time. Where is Padme? Vader asks. Can he see her? Sidious has no sympathy when he tells Vader she is gone. She is dead. At first, Vader says he doesn't believe this, but he does not sense her anymore. He can't feel her. He realizes what happened and lashes out at Sidious. He promised to protect her. Vader goes in to grab him. Sidious unleashes his power on him, using the Force to violently throw Vader back into the vertical medical table once, twice, 3 times, and proceeds to exert more and more crushing pressure on him. Vader struggles to breathe, taking quicker, shallower breaths. He's terrified and powerless. Gone is the confidant and friend. Dripping with disdain and contempt, he tells Vader that he promised him the power to cheat death, which he granted, and in return, he now has a shell of a man for an apprentice. If there were any viable alternatives left, he would have let Vader die, but for now, Vader will serve him in pain and agony until the day comes when Sidious finally demands his death. He finally lets go. Vader is so weak he can barely hold himself up. His breathing slowly starts returning to normal. He hangs his head, defeated. Sidious looks at him with a sneer, then goes to leave. As he does, Vader asks him a question. It was him the whole time, wasn't it? Everything he saw and heard, it was him. Sidious neither confirms nor denies this. He simply looks back for a minute and then exits the room. The atmosphere at Polis Massa is somber. Bail and the other senators are downtrodden, with Leia in Bail's arms being the only bright spot, looking around at everyone around her. Yoda and Obi-Wan, with the sleeping Luke in his arms, are on the viewing deck. What will they do with the children, Obi-Wan asks. If the Force is strong enough in them, should they be trained? They could take the twins far away and restart the Order in secret. Yoda thinks on it, and then asks what does he think is right for these children. Yoda does not often defer to someone else's judgment. Obi-Wan looks down at Luke with the same glint in his eye he gave Anakin back on the invisible hand. After thinking about it, maybe even picturing the scenes he painted for Padme, he says they should give the twins a family. Yoda agrees, but they should be split up, lest the Empire find them. Where will Leia go? To a family on Naboo? No. Yoda has noticed Bail already has a special connection with her. She will go with the Organa family. And Yoda senses Bail will not refuse. What about Luke? Obi-Wan thinks about it. Maybe it's because it's where he first met Anakin. Maybe it's because Anakin said that leaving it was when he started dying, but he suggests Tatooine, the Lars family. Yoda is pleased. Leia, Organa, and Luke Lars they will be. Obi-Wan, not taking his eyes off Luke, shakes his head thoughtfully and says, Luke Skywalker. Meanwhile, the senators are in danger of fracturing. Padme was their de facto leader, and now she is gone. Without her, there is no hope. But Bail, looking at the infant Leia in his arms, refuses to lay down and die. He strengthens his comrades' resolve using Padme's legacy. As queen, Padme stood against the Trade Federation when they stole her home. All seemed lost, but she rallied allies from all corners of society to her cause and showed the galaxy that yes, it was possible to stand against an evil empire and win. She already showed them the way long ago. They will be her legacy. Luke is now sleeping peacefully in a bassinet with R2 standing watch over him. Obi-Wan is still conferring with Yoda, talking about going into hiding. They will adopt the tactic the Sith used against them, biding their time, letting the world believe the Jedi to be extinct until the time is right. Where will they go? Obi-Wan asks. Yoda says they must choose separate locations unknown to the other for safety's sake. When the Force is ready for them to rise again, they will find each other. Obi-Wan muses on how hard isolation will be, and that's when Yoda broaches the subject he's been waiting to get to. An old friend has learned how to reach out from the netherworld of the Force. His old master. Yoda has been in contact with him for a short while, actually. Qui-Gon's voice is then heard, telling Obi-Wan he won't have to be alone, and then he materializes in front of them. It's a powerful reunion. Obi-Wan's shock gives way to pure, unqualified happiness at seeing his old father figure. When he asks how this is possible, Qui-Gon responds that anything is possible with the living Force, and there's so much to teach his old apprentice. These two Jedi started the trilogy side by side, and they end it side by side. The rest of the film plays out largely like normal. It's an amazingly poignant end sequence. My one change comes when Darth Vader joins the Emperor on the bridge of their Star Destroyer. Their ship is seen to be in orbit around a planet with many moons. The planet is Endor. We're getting a glimpse at what Palpatine has been funneling resources to all this time. We see the Death Star midway through construction, and further away, a second one at an even earlier stage of development. Leia settles into her new home, Obi-Wan drops Luke off with his family, we end on the twin sunset. The end. I hope you enjoyed the punch-up here, or at least parts of it. Maybe it's perfect already. Maybe your version is better. I'd love to hear what punch-ups you'd make to my draft, or how you would change the movie in general if it needs anything at all. And while you're doing that, grab a like on your way out and subscribe to the channel. That would be awesome. Consider joining the channel and becoming a real tough guy. I got some merchandise as well that you're welcome to take a peek at. Anything and everything to support the channel here is really appreciated. For now, stay tough and stop by again sometime.